We've received quite a bit of interest in my Free to Be workshop, so to that effect, beneath this video is a link that will give you a description for the workshop, and we've also included a special discount. So if that's something you would be interested in, I would invite you to click that link, and I hope that you would find the course to be quite beneficial. Fairly early on in your relationship with a narcissist, you begin realizing this person has a very strong, unbending agenda for you. Their goal is to make you live and think and prioritize just as they do. And if you don't do that, if you don't fall in line and stay inside their grooves, you're going to be vilified. If you contradict them, they're going to scorch you. And all of this is because they have constructed their own sense of false or alternate reality. In their minds, it's like, well, there's a certain way things need to be in this world, and don't you know it happens to all coincide with me. They have a real strong need to be in control. They have a very entitled approach towards people and events and circumstances. They must be superior. They don't have any empathy for you because it's all about them. And as a result, as you engage with them, you're going to realize that there are just certain unspoken narcissistic rules that they want you to comply with. But I have news for you and news for them, and that is you don't have to comply. But first, before we can get to that place, you need to know what some of their rules are. So I want to go through some of the most common unspoken rules that narcissists have, and then we're going to see if we can figure out how you're going to go along with that, okay? Now, one of the first unspoken rules that they have, and that is every time we differ, every time that you don't have the same kind of opinion as me, in the narcissist's mind, they're thinking, you owe me an explanation. Now, notice the emphasis there. Rather than thinking we differ, why don't we talk? Why don't we put it out there on the table? You share your thoughts and I'll share mine. No, they don't think like that because they don't think like an empathizer, and they don't think in terms of give and take. It's all about me. They just want to tell, and you better listen. And so if you're not listening correctly, you owe me an explanation. What if you, though, decided, well, actually, I refuse to go along with that rule. I don't owe you an explanation. I'm willing to talk with you about my thinking and my reasoning. But when I make decisions, and particularly when my decision stands up quite nicely on its own, I'm just going to more or less stand on the notion that says I make sense. And if I don't make sense to you, that's not my problem to solve. I refuse to go along with that rule. Or how about a second rule that they have? And that is, in their mind, they're thinking, well, you're supposed to be intimidated by me. Now, they can come on in a real strong and overpowering and loud and sometimes raging and forceful kind of way of doing things. They may want to try to punish you. They can be bullies. They can be annoyed. What if you were to decide, this intimidation factor, and I know that these individuals are into power, that's not something that I go along with. I feel agitated by you. I feel uncomfortable in your presence, but I don't feel like I have to go along with that rule either. If you think that I'm just supposed to cower and shake in my boots every time you come around, I don't think I'm going to follow that rule either. You can shout and scream all you want. All that's going to do is get you a sore throat. I'm not going to go along with that rule either. I'm not intimidated by you because I trust who I am. Or how about a third rule that narcissists commonly have? And that rule says, I have to be right. And so by default, that means you're supposed to take the wrong position. I'm right, you're wrong. Well, when we think about things, there's so many issues, particularly in relationships, that are more nuanced than that. Narcissists are heavy black and white thinkers, all or nothing, me versus you. But what if you were to decide, I don't have to be right, nor do I have to be wrong. What I want to be is true to what I believe. And if you feel like you have to be right, okay, that's your call to make. I don't have to agree with you, and it doesn't match my understanding of things. But if that's what you declare, that's on you. I refuse to go along with that rule too. I'm not going to take the position of the flunky if that's what you're expecting of me. How about a fourth rule that they have? Now, the narcissist may say, well, why don't you just go ahead and admit how dumb you really are, and then you and I are going to get along just fine. Or they can have all sorts of other adjectives, how stupid you are, or how unenlightened you are, or how misguided you are. Whatever their adjective is, just admit it and we'll get along just fine. What if you were to take the approach that says, no, I'm going to refuse to go along with that unwritten rule too. I'm not that dumb. I mean, I'll acknowledge when I make mistakes or I miscalculate, but I'm also the kind of person that knows how to make corrections. I'm able to think on my own 2 feet, and I actually use good reasoning. I'm quite willing to talk with you about our differences like adults, but I don't know that this rule is grounded in adult thinking. That being the case, I refuse to go along with that one as well. Or perhaps a fifth rule that we could identify, and that is the narcissist may say, it's your job to cater to my moods. You ever notice how moody narcissists are? And somehow or another, you're the one who's supposed to be responsible for keeping all of that afloat in a right kind of direction. They can be anxious, or they can be tense, or they can be angry, and they can be, all frustrated in all sorts of different ways. And so the implication is, and it's your responsibility to make me not feel that way. Act right, and then I'll quit feeling this way. Well, what if you were to say, nah, that's a rule I'm not going to go with either. It's your job to monitor your moods. I've got enough to monitor my moods, particularly when I'm hanging out with you. Your moods are way too erratic for me to try to disentangle from. Your moods are way too irrational. I don't feel like I have to take responsibility for you. So when you come at me with all of your emotional turmoil, I'm just going to let you flail, but I'm not going to engage with that. I don't feel the need to get involved in all sorts of non-productive problem-solving issues that I know are going to get us absolutely nowhere. Would that be a little bit different for you? How about a sixth rule that they have? And that is the narcissist may say, okay, even when you're frustrated with me, when you and I are in public, it's your job to make me look good. So when you're out there, whether it's in a work setting or social or with the extended family, wherever it might be, the narcissist is thinking, my friend over here has all sorts of nice things to say about me, and they want you to regale them. They want you to bring up some of their nice, positive qualities. What if you were to think, though, actually, it's not my job to make you look good in public. It's your job to make yourself look good in public. Be what you are. Let people come up with their own beliefs or their own opinions of who you are. It's not my job to prop you up. We have a word for that. It's called enabling, or basically they're asking you to be their flying monkey or their narcissistic supply that you're supposed to somehow or another make them feel a whole lot better because of your presence in it. It's like, no, that's another rule. I'm just not going to go along with that one either. Or how about a seventh rule that they may have? And that is, you're supposed to receive my judgmental pronouncements. You're supposed to receive my stubborn opinions. And that, as far as we're all concerned, my pronouncements, my opinions are ultimate truth. Receive it. What if you were to think, well, I don't consider you to be my go-to person in that category. In fact, you're not my go-to person at all. I don't want to have to prop up someone who's pig-headed or who's stubborn or who's overbearing and brash and boorish in the way that they engage with people. And if you think that I'm supposed to say, okay, all of that's fine and good, well, in my mind, it's not. I'm going to allow me to have my own personal opinions, and your judgments, if you want a pronouncement on me, then so be it. But I'm not required to have to receive that. Or how about an eighth rule that they often will impose on you? And this is so common with them. And that is, you're supposed to reject the same people that I reject. And they have all these people in their life that they have already criticized or they found lacking, and they're wanting you to come along and say, yeah, me too, I think the same way. What if you were to say instead, no, that's another rule that I'm not going to go along with. And in fact, it's not anything that I admire about you at all. In my way of thinking, when possible, I want to find reasons to accept someone or to be inclusive, or at least to try to understand them. I don't feel the need to have all of this rejecting and disdainful and contemptuous approach towards people as you have. You see, these narcissists have these kinds of rules, and actually others that we could have mentioned, because they're trying to construct a false front that's built upon smugness, upon their own belief in their special, unique enlightenment or entitlement or their self-righteousness. That's what they're trying to do, and they're wanting you to prop all of that up. But I'm hoping that you can realize if you were to go along with these rules that I just mentioned, what it means is you'd have to lose your sense of self. You'd have to lose your own personal identity and just meld into whatever it is they want you to be. And so I'm hoping that you can conclude, I refuse to comply with your petulant, self-serving mandates. I refuse to give up my common sense, and I surely refuse to give up my dignity just in order to go to get along with you with your false narrative leading the way. That's not something I'm willing to do. I have goodness and decency. I'm going to go ahead and consult within myself with respect to where that's going to lead me. I'm not going along with your false narrative, your alternate reality. I hope that videos such as this give you some good food for thought. And if you've not already subscribed, I would encourage you to hit that subscribe button. There's also a bell. Go ahead and hit that bell. It'll give you notifications when more videos come along. We have a join button for an exclusive membership to our channel, and it's not very expensive. You can check into that, and it allows you to have availability to live question and answer times that I have every single Wednesday. Laura has hers on Monday. We also have extra videos that we have just for our members. If you have a need for counseling, and I know that grappling with topics like what we're talking about may provoke the need for that or remind you of that, if you have someone in your area that you can unpack this with, I would encourage you to do so. If you don't have someone, we have a sponsor that can help you find a licensed professional counselor with good experience that can assist you in trying to sift through this. I've had lots of good feedback from our sponsor on this, so I would encourage you to look into that if that is a need that you would want to avail yourself to. In addition, we have my free to be course. It's a very extensive course with 6 modules, lots of personal reflections kind of questions that go along with many different teachings that are there. And we've had very good feedback on that. I'm excited about the prospects on that one. In addition, we have books and other resources. Okay, so the narcissist has that agenda. It's all built on their false narrative about how they're supposed to be the enlightened one in charge. Let's just acknowledge you can see straight through that, and in doing so, you don't have to go along with that. You can kind of be like Gus. Gus is over there just chilling out. He's not worried about what kind of rules they have. He sleeps through a whole lot of the mayhem anyway. I want you to be a person that's calm and steady, self-confident, and when the narcissist comes along and says, well, my rule tells me that you're supposed to be much different than that, I'm hoping that your rule says, I'm going to live in my own sense of dignity, respect, and civility. That's what people on Team Healthy do. That's what I'm committed to.